If she lets you cross a line most men never even see. It's not an accident. It's a quiet decision she made long before your hand ever got there. Listen carefully, because what I'm about to tell you isn't about touch. It's about permission, trust, and the silent language women speak when they stop guarding themselves around you. Most men misread this. They think it's about attraction alone. It's not. Attraction opens the door, but comfort decides who gets invited inside. I'm speaking to you not as someone guessing, but as a woman who understands the psychology behind these moments. When a woman allows physical closeness, especially in subtle, specific ways, she's revealing layers of her emotional state that she would never explain out loud. The first sign isn't what you expect. It's not dramatic. It's not obvious. It's when she allows you to touch her hair. A woman's hair is not just physical. It's deeply personal. It's tied to identity, femininity, and how she presents herself to the world. Most women are instinctively protective of it. They adjust it, fix it, control who interacts with it. So when she lets your hand linger there, when she doesn't pull away, when she leans slightly into your touch instead of correcting it, something has shifted. That moment tells you she doesn't feel threatened by you. And more importantly, she doesn't feel the need to control the situation anymore. Control is everything in early attraction. A woman is constantly assessing. Is he safe? Is he aware? Does he respect boundaries? But when she starts relaxing those micro-controls, like letting you touch her hair without hesitation, she's no longer evaluating you the same way. She's experiencing you. And that's where most men make a critical mistake. They rush. They assume that because one boundary softened, all boundaries are gone. That's how attraction dies in seconds. You need to understand something deeper. When she allows a soft, intimate touch, she's not giving you ownership. She's offering access to a moment, to a feeling, to a version of herself that she doesn't show everyone. And access can be revoked instantly. What makes you different, what makes her stay in that moment, is how you handle it. Do you become greedy with it? Do you push further, trying to secure something that was never meant to be taken? Or do you stay present, calm, grounded, allowing the moment to breathe without forcing it into something bigger? Because here's the truth most men aren't ready to hear. Women don't fall for what you take, they fall for what you don't rush. When she lets you touch her hair, she's testing something deeper than attraction. She's observing your restraint, your awareness, your ability to feel the moment instead of consuming it. And if you pass that silent test, something powerful happens. She begins to trust her own decision about you, not your words, not your image, not your confidence, her decision. That's when attraction stops being surface level and starts becoming emotional. You'll notice subtle changes after that. Her body language softens. Her eye contact lingers longer than necessary. Conversations become less guarded. She might tease you more, challenge you slightly, or even create small excuses to stay physically close. These are not random behaviors. They are responses to how safe she feels being herself around you. And safety, when combined with attraction, is what creates attachment. But don't misunderstand me. This isn't about playing a role or following steps. Women can feel that instantly, and it kills everything. This is about awareness, emotional intelligence, being able to read what's happening beneath the surface instead of reacting impulsively to what's on top. Because when a woman lets you into her personal space like that, she's not just asking, does he like me? She's asking, can I relax around him without losing control of myself? And how you answer that question without ever speaking a word determines everything that comes next. There's a moment most men overlook because it feels too simple to matter, but psychologically, it reveals everything. It's when she allows you to touch her face. Not in a forced way, not in a sudden move that catches her off guard. I'm talking about that quiet, almost suspended moment when your hand moves closer, and instead of pulling back, she stays. Maybe her eyes soften, maybe she exhales slightly, maybe she even leans in just a fraction. That fraction is everything. A woman's face is her most guarded space. It's where her emotions live, where her expressions are read, where vulnerability is impossible to hide. Letting someone into that space physically isn't casual. It's deeply psychological, because when your hand is that close to her face, she's not just aware of the touch, she's aware of you. your presence, your intention, your energy, and in that moment, she's deciding something silently. Do I trust this man enough to let him this close to who I really am? And if the answer is yes, she doesn't move away. That's not attraction anymore. That's acceptance. But here's where it gets deeper, and where most men fail to understand the weight of that moment. When she lets you touch her face, she's not just allowing contact. She's dropping her guard in a way that requires emotional safety. Because at that distance, there's no room for performance, no space to hide behind jokes, confidence, or charm. It's just you and her instinct. Women don't talk about this, but they feel it instantly. The difference between a man who is present and a man who is trying to take something. If your touch feels rushed, uncertain, or driven by need, she senses it. And even if she doesn't pull away immediately, something inside her closes. But if your touch is calm, intentional, without pressure or expectation, something opens instead. And that opening is where connection begins to form. You have to understand, this isn't about technique, it's about energy. The way you carry yourself in that moment tells her more than anything you could ever say. Are you trying to impress her, or are you actually seeing her? Because when a woman feels seen, not just looked at, not just desired, but truly seen, her entire demeanor changes. She becomes softer, more present, more engaged. She stops performing and starts revealing. That's when the dynamic shifts. You'll notice it in the silence. Conversations slow down, but they feel deeper. Eye contact becomes heavier, almost charged with something unspoken. She might hold your gaze just a second longer than normal, not because she's trying to, but because she's no longer thinking about it. That's the difference between attraction and emotional pull. And once that pull begins, she starts investing without realizing it. She remembers small things you say. She finds reasons to be near you. She might even initiate subtle contact, brushing your arm, adjusting something on your shirt, or standing just close enough that your presence feels shared. These are not random actions. They're unconscious signals of comfort and growing attachment. But again, none of this means she's yours. That mindset is exactly what destroys this kind of connection. What it means is something far more powerful. She's choosing you in real time, and that choice is fragile. It's influenced by how you respond, how you move, how you handle the space between you. If you rush to define it, label it, or escalate too quickly, you break the very thing she's beginning to feel. Because women don't connect through speed, they connect through depth. When she lets you touch her face, she's not asking you to take the next step. She's watching to see if you understand the moment you're already in. Can you stay there without trying to push it forward? Can you hold that closeness without turning it into pressure? Because if you can, something rare happens. She begins to associate you with emotional safety and desire at the same time. And that combination is what creates real attraction. The kind that doesn't fade after a few conversations or disappear when things get uncertain. It builds quietly, it deepens without effort, and most importantly, it stays. So when you find yourself in that moment, when she lets you that close, don't think about what comes next. Think about what she's feeling right now. Because if you understand that, you won't need to chase anything. She'll move closer on her own. There's a shift that happens when a woman stops calculating every inch of space between you and starts closing that space herself. You won't hear it. You won't see a clear signal, but you'll feel it the moment it happens. It's when she allows you to touch her waist. Now understand this clearly. This isn't about bold moves or sudden gestures. This moment doesn't belong to men who rush. It belongs to men who notice. Because the waist is different. It's not as distant as her hands, not as guarded as her face, but it sits right at the center of her physical awareness. It's where balance, posture, and instinct meet. When someone touches her there, her body reacts before her mind has time to analyze. So when she allows it, when she doesn't tense up, doesn't step back, doesn't reposition herself, what you're witnessing is not tolerance. It's alignment. Her body is agreeing with your presence. And that is something most men completely misunderstand. They assume physical closeness equals permission to advance. But what's really happening is far more subtle. She's letting her natural defenses lower. Not because she's convinced by words, but because her instincts are no longer warning her. That's the real signal. A woman's instinct is always active. It's scanning, evaluating, measuring energy in ways she can't even explain. And when that instinct quiets down around you, it means you've passed a level most men never reach. But here's where everything can go wrong. The moment you recognize that she's comfortable, your reaction determines whether that comfort deepens or disappears. If you tighten your grip, if you pull her closer with intention that feels heavy, if your energy shifts from calm to urgent, her instinct wakes back up. And once it does, it doesn't just return to neutral, it becomes cautious again. You don't get unlimited chances with instinct. That's why restraint is power here. When your hand rests lightly, naturally, without trying to control the moment, it sends a completely different message. It tells her, without words, I'm here, but I don't need to force anything. And that's rare, because most men, the second they feel progress, try to secure it. They escalate, they test limits, they push just a little further to confirm what they think is happening. But attraction doesn't grow under pressure, it grows in space. And when she feels that you're not trying to take control of the moment, she starts to relax even deeper into it. You'll notice it in the way she stands. Her posture softens. Her movements become less guarded, more fluid. She might angle her body slightly toward you instead of away. Her proximity becomes intentional, not accidental. That's when emotional comfort begins to merge with physical awareness. And once those two connect, something changes in her perception of you. You're no longer just someone she's interacting with. You become someone she feels. That's a completely different level of connection. At that point, conversations don't need to be impressive. Silence doesn't feel awkward. Even simple moments, walking side by side, standing close without speaking, start to carry weight. Because what she's responding to is no longer what you're doing. It's how she feels in your presence. And here's the truth most men never hear. Women don't stay where they are impressed. They stay where they feel at ease being themselves. So when she allows you into that space, when your hand rests at her waist and she doesn't pull away, you are not being given a signal to take more. You're being trusted with a moment that has to be handled carefully. Because that trust is still forming. It's not locked in. It's not guaranteed. It's responsive. Every action you take either strengthens it or weakens it. And the men who understand this don't rush to turn the moment into something bigger. They let it exist. They let it breathe. They allow her to feel without interference. And that's what draws her closer. Not physically at first, but emotionally. She begins to associate you with a rare kind of presence, one that doesn't demand, doesn't pressure, doesn't overwhelm, just exists in a way that feels steady. And when a woman feels steady around you, she starts to open parts of herself she didn't even plan to show. Not because you asked, but because she wants to. That's the difference between chasing attraction and becoming someone she naturally moves toward. So if you ever find yourself in that moment where she allows that level of closeness, don't think about what it means for you. Think about what it means for her. Because if you understand that, you won't need to push anything forward. She'll bring herself closer, step by step, without you ever having to ask. There is one moment, quiet, almost invisible to everyone else, where everything becomes clear. No words, no signals you can point to, no obvious sign that says, this is it. And yet, if you miss it, you miss everything. It's when she allows you to touch her hand, and she doesn't let go. Not the casual handshake, not the playful tap. I'm talking about when your fingers meet hers, and instead of pulling away after a second like most people do, she stays there. Maybe her fingers curl slightly into yours. Maybe her thumb moves just enough to acknowledge the contact. Maybe nothing moves at all, but she doesn't break it. That stillness is not accidental. That is a decision. Hands are different from every other part of the body. They are extensions of intention. We use them to create, to express, to protect, to connect, and because of that, they carry a psychological weight that most people don't consciously think about. When a woman lets her hand remain in yours, she is doing something deeper than allowing touch. She is allowing connection. Because unlike a brief moment of closeness, a brush of the arm, a passing contact, holding hands requires presence. It requires both people to stay in the moment without distraction, without escape. And when she chooses to stay there with you, it means she's no longer questioning whether she should be close to you. She's experiencing what it feels like to be close to you. That's the difference. Up until now, everything we've talked about has been her observing, testing, feeling things out beneath the surface. But this moment, this is where observation turns into participation. She's no longer just reacting to you, she's engaging with you. And that changes everything. Because when a woman reaches that point, her emotional investment begins to grow in ways she might not even realize yet. She starts attaching meaning to your presence. Your absence becomes noticeable. Your attention becomes valuable. You're no longer interchangeable. But listen carefully, this is also where most men lose it. The moment they feel that connection, they try to define it. They want clarity, labels, certainty. They start asking questions, pushing for reassurance, trying to lock in what they think they've earned. And in doing that, they break the very thing that was forming naturally. Because connection is not something you secure by force. It's something you allow to deepen. When she's holding your hand, whether literally or metaphorically, she's not asking you to take control of the situation. She's asking, silently, can you stay here with me without turning this into pressure? Can you enjoy the moment without trying to own it? Can you feel the connection without needing to define it? Because the truth is, women don't pull away when they feel connection. They pull away when that connection starts to feel like expectation. The difference is subtle, but powerful. Expectation introduces pressure. Pressure creates resistance, and resistance breaks attraction faster than anything else. But when you stay grounded, when you allow that moment to exist without rushing it forward, you create something most men never experience. You create emotional momentum, and emotional momentum is what carries a connection forward without effort. She begins to think about you when you're not there. She replays small moments in her mind. She starts to feel a sense of comfort that she can't fully explain, but doesn't want to lose. That's when her behavior changes in ways that don't need to be analyzed. She reaches out more. She initiates contact. She finds reasons to stay connected to you, not because she has to, but because she wants to. And that want is everything. Because attraction that is chosen lasts. Now here's the truth you need to understand, even if it challenges the way you've been thinking this entire time. No touch, no signal, no moment, no matter how intimate, means she is yours. That idea will cost you every genuine connection you ever build. Because a woman is not something to be owned. She is someone who chooses again and again based on how she feels with you. And every moment you share either strengthens that choice or weakens it. So instead of asking, what does this mean for me? Start asking a better question. What does she feel when she's with me? And does she want to feel it again? Because if the answer is yes, everything else will follow naturally. And before you leave, I want you to be honest with yourself. No pretending, no guessing, no ego. If connection were an equation, it would look like this. Your presence plus her comfort, plus time without pressure, equals something real. So tell me in the comments, which part of that equation do you struggle with the most? And if this opened your eyes even a little, don't keep it to yourself. Like the video, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to understand what most people never say out loud.